Hello everyone and welcome to the Professional Disc Golf Association World Championships. We're here for the finals of the Female Pro Open Division and we've got a good one in store for you. Dixon, what are we looking at?
A lot more action than we thought we were going to have. Going into today, Paige had a giant lead. Catrina had a fantastic first round today, the semifinal round. Paige had a pretty poor round by her standards, so they go into the final round tied. Asked Catrina how she's feeling. She was very loose, ready to go. I asked Paige, how you feeling? And she just looked me in the eye and said, ready. Val, everybody's forgetting Val. Everybody thinks this is a two-dog race. Val sitting one stroke back and is just kind of just hanging back. The look on her face was, I got both of these guys. So, I mean, like, this is going to be an incredible Final Nine here. Lots of OB. The wind is picking up. And 5 minutes ago, I checked it, and it was one way. A minute ago, I checked it. It was going the different direction. So who knows what's going to happen over the next 9 holes, but it's going to be awesome.
This leader card has 8 championship world titles amongst them, and one of them is going to add another one to their mantle. As you said, Catrina Allen and Paige Pierce currently tied at 10 under par. Valarie Jenkins just one behind them. Val has won the Sportsman of the Year award earlier, the Bob West Memorial Award. She's always got a smile on her face, and Catrina Allen is celebrating her birthday. I don't know if it gets any better than this. We're going to bring you live right now the Female Pro Open Finals here at the Disc Golf World Championships.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Emporia Country Club, our 12:30 tee times, the Open Women's Division. Again, I would like to remind our spectators to silence your cameras and cell phones. Make sure you stay behind the players, caddies, and leaderboard. There is also a cart out on the course with coolers with beverages for sale. So when you're out there, you can get beverages while you're following the players. Teeing off first, representing Prodigy, the 2014 World Champion from Madison, Tennessee, Catrina Allen.
And a gentle hyzer here by Catrina Allen, maybe a little too gentle. She releases that lightly and it finds the tree in the center of the fairway.
Texas, the 2011, 2013, and reigning world champion, Paige Pierce.
And Paige unleashes a crush that's finding itself back towards the center of the fairway, beneath the tree's limbs, also center fairway.
And representing Legacy Discs from Freedom, California, the 2012 World.
And Hokom with her patented forehand heads towards the OB, and it looks like it is hung up in the tree. And we'll have to see exactly where that's placed. Again, Sarah Hokom sitting 13 strokes back of Val Jenkins. She's, I hate to say it, but Sarah Hokom is really just kind of along for the ride. She's a world champion, had solid play this week, but there's not really any place that she can move here, sitting 13 back of second and third place.
Yeah, it makes, I mean, she can just has a walk in the park here. It's 9 holes, almost like just a showcase card for her. She can come out here and play and have fun. Doesn't matter how bad she shoots, and she's
or how great she shoots,
or how great she shoots. You know, she's just out here to have a good time. So, I mean, she can really put on a show if she wants to. She can run at every basket, and it doesn't matter. I've been in that position once before where I made a Final Four where I wasn't going to catch anybody, and I already had my money locked up. And I had a fantastic time because it didn't matter. It was just like, you know, just out throwing with a couple of buddies.
Well, and Sarah Hokom is looking up at her disc, which I'm not sure came out of the tree. So she's looking for a place. She needs to get a final spot here where she's going to place
her line, and she is out of bounds, so that's going to be a 1-throw penalty.
And with her forehand, I'm not sure there's the right angle or bend to really even attack the basket from here, because it's going to finish right to left, and that's not exactly what a forehand does usually at 400 feet.
Yeah, she's going to bring it off the front of that bush and leave herself about a 50 or 60 footer to get up and down for the 4. Well, unless she tries to go behind it through the skinny door right there. Oh man, if she had got past that branch, she would have been putting.
And we might be blessed by a number of other gentlemen that could provide us some insights. We see Paul Ulibarri is out here walking around. Paul, of course, with the jammed finger earlier in the week. And if he may be gracious enough to give us a little bit of insight as this final 9 moves on. Paul, you're out here spectating, taking all in. What a battle.
Yeah, I know. This is awesome. I mean, the 4 best women in the world, we called it, pre-tournament, that this is who was going to be up there battling. And I mean, 1 stroke between 3 girls. This is what, we all come to see.
And Catrina has approached short of the pin. She's going to have a long putt from there. We also see a number of other friends and family out here supporting so many of our players. I see Nate Doss, who is the husband of Valarie Jenkins. Valarie has the opportunity to pull ahead in terms of professional world titles in that household. Valarie has 3, Nate has 3. This could be the tiebreaker here today. And Val is going right at the basket and lands just within 8 feet of the pin. She should have a tap in from there. And Dixon, no real surprise here. Paige Pierce's good friend, Eric McCabe, also a world champion, is on the bag. Paige has won 3 world titles in the past, and now she's got a world champion caddy. I know Eric's helped mentor her and help her out through many of her big events and wins. So having a friendly, fun, trusted friend on the bag is the way to go here.
Well, and there's a couple other things to add there. I mean, besides world champion, I mean, currently he's around 10-20 rated a golfer. I mean, he played way above that. He got top 10 in the Worlds this year. And he designed this course. So what an advantage to have that. Now, on this particular hole, Paige had a monstrous drive, but this is almost an unreachable hole. She's about 60 or 70 feet short. She should have a pretty easy 3, and Catrina still has about 50 feet to go for her 3. So Paige looks like she might be able to take a stroke right here on the first hole.
And we see Hokom approach to within 10 feet. I think we're going to see a pretty conservative layup here by Paige Pierce. She wants to be within 5 feet on this. And Paige has done just that. She gives a little bit of a grin. We've seen earlier in this year that Paige has struggled with short-range pressure putts, and I know she's trying to eliminate those today. And even from 10 or 12 feet right there, I know she wished she was underneath the basket. Solid run by Catrina.
Well, I mean, the reality of our game is that you're trying to throw a piece of plastic into hanging metal, and it doesn't always go as it's supposed to go. Sometimes physics can be a weird thing, and so you want to get as close as possible. Catrina's putt right there, where you can just lay it in the basket, that's the kind of putt that every competitor wants during a Final 9.
And as I've mentioned in the podcast and in a few other places, the layout here today, the layout consists of hole 1, 2, then they move over to hole number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, which is the island hole. They will skip the par 5 on 17 and move on to hole 18 to finish. 1 down, 8 to go. You're watching the women's finals right here at the Disc Golf World Championships.
Hole 2 is a 549-foot thin hole with an OB left and right. players throw over a small hill off the tee and are looking to get past the grouping of trees that guard the last 150 feet to the hole. The terrain slopes slightly right to left, which can cause some unlucky shots to skip into the water. Shots that get knocked down by the trees will face a short upshot or a very long putt.
Hi, I'm Jenkins, and I hope you're sitting back and relaxing as you're watching SmashBoxxTV.
Paige going with that same enforcer. That's going to need to sit down. Oh, that's a defender, Eric says. That needs to sit down. She's close to the water's edge, hitting on a downslope. Spotters are looking, and we get a red flag. Now, the benefit with going with that high-speed driver and going OB down there, she will have an open look to get up and down to save her par from there. It's much better to be OB left on this hole than right.
And Jenkins with a misfire to the right, clearing that may have in fact hit off a spectator and come back inbounds. Val Jenkins with an errant shot here on hole 2. And Catrina making a nice adjustment here. She's going to need that to sit down. And as we wait for an indicator, it looks as if she also gets a red flag.
And that's the cherry play if you've got it. Sarah turns that forehand over, goes down by the water, and she's hyzering back into the upslope. So she's going to sit still, probably about 200 to 250 to go. Paige and Pat and, I did it again.
There's a lot of words here, and it's been a long week.
Kat and Paige, there we go, I got it out. Kat seemed to correct. When she first let her disc go, we all thought that was going to be really nice, but it caught a little bit of a right to left wind gust, which put her probably halfway left to right on the fairway, caught that downslope, and I'm going to guess she skipped a little bit and then weeble wobbled right out of bounds. So even though Paige left the door open there, Kat followed her right out, and so now it's going to be a upshot competition. Looks like they're maybe about 30 feet apart from each other, so who can get up and down from this spot to save par?
So very interesting to see potentially 3 shots heading for OB. However, from what we heard, at least back on the tee, is that Val had possibly hit a spectator and found herself back inbounds, getting a little bit of a break. So with her down a stroke right now to the leader, we'll see if she can get up and down and possibly pick up at least 1 stroke on both Kat and Paige.
Well, and I'm making the mistake because I was, in my head, I'm thinking this is a battle between Kat and Paige, but it's totally not. Valarie is 1 stroke back. She's sitting inbounds laying 1, whereas Kat and Paige are both going to be throwing their second shot. Now, Kat and Paige have a much better angle to the basket. Valarie, where she's at, she's a little bit above the basket. She's going to have to go downhill and then back up, and there are a bunch of trees that are giving her a low ceiling. This is a very difficult, probably just maybe a little over 250-foot shot.
And as you mentioned, Dixon, that has a low ceiling. Looked as if Val was very conscious of that and ultimately threw too low to try to avoid those branches.
Well, she made the good mistake. She got under the branches and outside of the tree, and she leaves herself about a 50 or 60-foot putt for birdie. Cat and Paige are going to have a difficult time getting a par here, so Val's playing the odds right now.
Right on. Good putting.
And the right line, just not enough power there by Sarah Hokom. And interesting to note that Catrina Allen is carrying her own bag. Obviously, we have a lot of our top competitors with probably dozens of people here in the gallery that would be more than happy to assist her in carrying her bag, but she must have made a conscious decision that she wanted to stay focused and maybe stay with her routine, and she is carrying her own bag for this final 9.
And she's going to leave herself 20 or 25 feet below the hole. Good spot to be on this hole. Shouldn't be a whole lot of wind on the putt. As far as the caddy goes, I personally don't like a caddy either because it's not how I practice. And so Catrina might have that same thought, or maybe she thought, I don't want to have to talk to anybody. I want to be able to focus on the game right now.
And as with any OB stroke, you can bring your shot back inbounds up to 1 meter away.
I believe this is Paige's P2, her go-to approach disc.
And you see Paige throw that in countless situations. I've seen her drive that over 300 feet. I've seen her approach with it. She does everything with that disc. The interesting part about it is it's actually a 150 class disc. She feels like it does not fly as such, and I've seen her put a lot of power behind that and still not have that turnover. So, I'd have to go ahead and say if Paige didn't have that disc, I think she would possibly add a stroke or 2 or 4 to every round she plays. That is her go-to disc, as you said.
I mean, having that disc you can count on is super important. It's like a security blanket, and she's got it, and she's using it well. So now we've got some pressure putts for Valarie and Paige, knowing that, or for Valarie and Catrina, knowing that Paige is sitting there for her easy 4.
And enough power for her to get there, however, just a bit too much on the high, wide right side. I also noticed that world champion Leroy Jenkins is on the bag for his daughter Val, and then her husband working the umbrella, keeping everybody cool.
Got a 1,000 rated umbrella holder right here.
And a rare instance of seeing Catrina Allen not draw metal on a putt inside the circle. You have to wonder if there's some pressure that's gotten to her. This is Sarah Hokom for her 3. And with her drop loft putt, Sarah Hokom is in. And it looks like she'll be carding the best score on the card.
This is a really good 3. The drive on this hole is so finicky. So to be able to get up and down for that birdie 3 was a great job by Sarah.
And Val with the easy comebacker. Catrina left with 10 feet. here again, Paige looking at less than 10 feet. And I think she's going to take her time with this. We're going to need the gallery to stop moving. And as short as that was, I know that's a confidence booster for Paige. She's trying to get within that range on every single hole. We're going to move over to hole number 11. You're watching the finals of the Women's Open Division. Stay tuned right here on SmashBoxxTV for the World Championships.
One of the more picturesque holes of the course, hole 11 pushes players through a thin tunnel of trees out into an open and turn to the basket. While the left side of the hole is properly OB, the right side might as well be, as discs that end up there have a tough time getting out. Once players get out into the open, the shot to the basket is relatively straightforward and the green plays nice and open. The shot off the tee is often what makes or breaks the hole.
Are you new to disc golf? Or maybe you've been playing for a while and just saw some pro smash it with a Dynamic Discs Defender. But you're just not sure that disc is right for you. If any of this describes you, then the Dynamic Discs Buyback Program is for you. Just go to any of our buyback retailers and purchase a disc from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs. Try out that disc for 14 days, and if you're not completely satisfied with that disc, take it back and get it replaced with whatever disc you want in the store of any brand. Go to dynamicdiscs.com/retail to find a buyback retailer near you and get out there and play some disc golf.
And welcome back to hole number 11, which is, of course, our third hole of the championship's final 9, taking place out here at the Emporia Country Club. And we're going to wait for the gallery to get into position. This is a beautiful hole, but yet very challenging.
Yeah, it's the downhill, uphill nature of this hole, and the fact that it's open. There's trees on both sides, but it's open on both ends. It creates a wind tunnel effect right here, so it can do some crazy things.
And Hokom had turned that over right out of her hand, and it has carried to the left side OB. And that has a gentle turn, however, it's going to finish inbounds. And what's great about that position is she's going to have less bend than if she were on that right-hand side.
Yes, she crushed that disc. That's a great spot for any division, any player to be.
And albeit low, it is in the center of the fairway. A very safe shot there by Jenkins, and she'll have a good look from there. And Catrina has pulled this hard to the right. And upon release of that, I've got to say, she knew immediately out of her hand that that was not a good drive. She is very frustrated with herself. There was a look of defeat and disgust as she let that go, and that finished toward the right. I believe she's going to be OB. Or is that just a very not so pleasant area to be, Dixon?
Yeah, only the left side of this hole is OB, unless she had landed on this ball golf tee pad, but she cleared that. The problem is she hit a tree and then she kicked right. And then also, she did not get much distance before she hit that tree. So Sarah, now being OB, has to play from a drop zone, and this is a really awful drop zone.
And on Sarah's second shot, that did not flex far enough. She is going to be in an OB area here on her second shot. Dixon, this is a lot of trouble. There's absolutely no way that Catrina is getting up and down for the 3. Right now, she's just going to be happy if she can get up and down and take a 4.
Yeah, she's probably 300 feet from the basket, and probably 200 of that is straight woods if she were going to go just directly towards the basket. But she's not so far in that she doesn't have an out. If she can try to put herself about where Valarie is, she would then have about 200 feet kind of up and around the corner. So she just needs to take her medicine here and get out so she can save her 4. And there she goes, about 20 or 30 feet in front of Val. So great spot by Catrina.
Nice shot, Cat.
Friends, family, and teammates alike all out here. Just heard Big Germ encouraging her teammate and Catrina. And Val's approach with her rock is slightly fading right, maybe a little bit too much power, maybe a little too much turn on that out of her hand.
Yeah.
She'll have still a look at that.
Yeah, but that's the mistake you want to make. If she had hyzered that out, she brings OB into play. It's just like on hole 2. She put herself in a spot where she's going to have 50 or 60 feet for her par. That's the smart play.
And Catrina is up and on the left-hand side of the pin. We feel a light breeze as we're moving down our fairway of the 3rd hole. There's not a single cloud in the sky. Seems to finally have found the happy medium of weather out here in Emporia. We had the blistering, sweltering heat for a few days. Last night we had some rain, and this morning a little bit cooler and cloudy yesterday. And now today we've got sunshine with moderate temperatures, somewhere in the mid-80s. And that same approach disc, and just a bit light here by Paige Pierce. And I had just mentioned a moment ago that Catrina Allen not having a caddy. Looks as if her husband, Paul Ulibarri, is now on the bag. And a rare backhand shot, albeit short, by Sarah Hokom. Throws her approach shot after going OB from her second shot that she took from the drop zone. Looking at Val Jenkins approximately on circle's edge. She's maybe just going to step it off for us. And I had said right around circle's edge, she's going to be about 30 feet as it looked like about 10 paces for her. So she will not be eligible for a jump putt. And this is going to be slightly uphill. She's going to need to make sure she puts a little extra on it to account for the upward slope. And Valarie with a 30-foot putt is in for the birdie on hole number 11.
And that moves her into second place. She's going to take a stroke off of Catrina right here. At least one stroke. This is Catrina for her bogey 4.
Catrina is in. Dixon and I double checking one another. It's been a long week as to if it's a par 4 or a par 3. I believe it is in fact a par 4. Valarie with the birdie. And I mentioned it earlier, Paige has struggled this year with her short to medium range putts. I know that she's feeling the pressure of every single one of these, knowing that each stroke counts towards this world title. And I have to think that somewhere in the back of her mind there was a little bit of doubt. We've got a ton of sponsors and supporters that have been with us throughout this entire week here at the World Championships. We're going to listen to a word from a few of them as we move on to our 4th hole right here during the women's finals at the PDGA Worlds.
Hello, it's me, your pal, JC. I've heard your prayers for an improvement in your disc golf game. Well, JC here is going to go ahead and throw you a pretty big bone. I present the Traveler. It's an overstable driver by Full Turn Discs. Isn't it heavenly? It's the newest disc on the market. And you can take it from the highest authority that this is the disc. You're welcome.
And Val's star turn is right up the center of the fairway. We hear Nate Daw saying, "Get down," as it comes in. And she gets the green flag. Paige Pierce to throw next. And getting a kick off the tree and carrying to the left side of the fairway. Gets a green flag for Paige Pierce.
Yeah, I think that was going to be great. That was a Lucid Convict. They get stable at the end. That's actually the disc that she aced last week during the mixed doubles.
And catching off of a early tree branch and then carrying to a second tree branch. She is going to be short, however, that will not be within birdie range. And Hokom's is cresting the hill and heading left. However, I think that's going to sit down before it finds OB. We've been informed that Val's original tee shot was very close to the OB line. However, she is, of course, safe.
Yeah, these next couple of holes, and this one included, it's a gettable birdie hole too. However, this is a very technical shot. There's OB on the right, and the wind was starting to come into the players' faces up this hill. You can see that it held Catrina and Paige's disc to the right. I think both of them got good kicks there. I think both of those discs would have finished out of bounds if it hadn't have been for the tree intervention there. Valarie actually had the best looking shot right out of the hand. Being that it was a star turn, I thought that as it got over this hill and caught a little bit of that headwind, it might turn Annie and hold that all the way down to the basket, but got a little bit stable. She's over to the left, and now it's upshot competition for all of our players here to try to get their three, get this par, and move on to the next couple of really difficult holes.
Catrina with a standstill approach puts her within 15 feet of the pin.
Hi, guys.
We're moving down the fairway, and we've got Big Germ, you were a world champion before this singles competition even started. How did that feel?
Oh, it felt great. Got the best partner in the world, and to follow up last year with another world title with Paige was it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Great way to start the week off. Get a little practice around with a little competition. It's always a great way to start the World's Week. I look forward to many more World Championships with her.
Right now, she is vying for a title, and the competition is incredibly stiff. We've got all three women within a few strokes of one another. What is going to be a key to Paige's success? Well, here she is. She's going with a hat-off putt. We've never seen this before. This is unprecedented.
I've never seen this before either. I have no idea what's going on right now.
I didn't even know she had hair.
And with a leaping jump putt, Paige will have to settle for a par here at best. Hokom with a rare backhand. We're seeing all sorts of things on this hole. What's next?
A bunch of tap-ins, hopefully. I think that the key for these girls coming down the last couple holes, the reason they're playing the back nine is because this is where a lot of strokes are made and lost, and it's just about keeping it in bounds. These women, I think that they're all, for the most part, playing for par on probably 16 and 18. But if it comes down to it, we might see something crazy, see one of the girls go for the island shot. Really looking forward to a really exciting finish, and I wouldn't miss this for the world. This is awesome.
And if you weren't here, you'd be watching SmashBoxxTV.
Of course.
And Paige with a little bit more authority there. I think she's just trying to shake those nerves on these short putts. Yeah. Catrina immediately gets up and fires in. She's in no way nervous. I think she wants to prove just that. Paige, however, thinking about every single putt regardless of the distance. We're through 4 holes here during the championship finals. You're watching the Worlds right here on SmashBoxxTV. We'll be back with you in a few moments.
Hey everybody, this is Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze.
And I'm Eric McCabe.
And we want to invite you to check out our podcast, The Disc Golf Answer Man, where myself and Eric McCabe, 2010 Pro World Champion, answers your disc golf questions. Any questions on discs to choose, life on the road.
Don't forget about the Ralph updates.
And even Ralph updates. So check us out. We have segments where we talk about health and wellness of disc golf, mind, body, disc, and he talks about the mental part of the game. So check us out on iTunes or Stitcher, or just look us up at discgolfanswerman.com.
Hole 13 tees from the OB sidewalk and forces players to the left again. A series of trees prevents good progress down the inbound section of the hole, and many players feel the need to hang their discs out over OB again. The basket plays 20 feet from the OB line, so even putts have risk of sneaking out here.
Here we are in Country Club hole number 13, 371 feet uphill, slight left to right tailwind. Valarie gets it out low. That needs to hyzer. And she catches sidewalk and inbounds. That was close. The entire right side of this sidewalk is out of bounds. And the grass on the right side is the ball golf fairway, the rough in between the fairway and the sidewalk. So if you are to land in there, it is very thick. This looks like the defender that Paige threw on hole 1 and hole 2. Stable high-speed disc.
And Paige knows immediately out of her hand that's a lot of trouble. And I believe she's going to get the red flag, although I don't see any indicators up there. I'm not sure why there's no spotters indicating whatsoever, but I believe that's going to be OB. And Catrina also finding the OB. She thought she was going to put more hyzer on that, and she has just thrown OB off the tee, both her and Paige. Sarah making sure everybody knows that she's throwing her forehand. Both Catrina and Paige will be re-teeing on hole number 13 here.
And this tournament just took a turn right here. Valarie is inbounds. She should be able to get up and down easily for a 3. Kat and Paige are going to have to really work in order to get a 4. Most likely they're going to get a 5. This is crazy that this just happened.
I am in disbelief myself. Paige will be re-teeing as she was never back inbounds. And if either of them were to not get back in bounds, I would go ahead and say they're taking themselves out of the event. And if that is OB, that may have just ended Paige Pierce's chance at a World Championships. Catrina's going to put this in bounds for sure.
And that's what Paige should have done, is just put a big hyzer and take the 5 and get out of town. I'm really surprised that she tried to get a 4 again. So now she's going to be throwing 5 right now. So her best possible score on this hole is a 6. And she's down to her 3rd most stable driver.
And she's done just as you've said. She's thrown a hyzer out to this right-hand side. And unfortunately for Paige Pierce, we're going to have to call it. There is just too much of a mountain to climb, as she's going to be giving likely 4 strokes to the 3-time world champion Valarie Jenkins. And I am beside myself to see Paige throw not 1 but 2 shots. OB, Paige, we've talked about her challenges here on the short range putting. That's something I feel like she could have gotten over throughout the final 9 here, but moving into this hole and then throwing OB twice, there's just not going to be enough for her to come back from that.
Well, and I feel like Catrina and Paige were only eyeballing each other, that they had almost forgotten that Val was in this fight. And now she not only caught up to them in the last couple of holes, she just sprinted right past them. I have no doubt that Val will lay this up, take her 3, and move on to the final 4 holes with a lead at the 2016 World Championships. Now, the thing that Paige and Catrina have going for them at this point, even though doing so poorly on this hole, we have a very long par 4 hole next. Then we have a hole that is gettable for the distance that Catrina and Paige have in hole number 15 out here at the country club. Then we have the island hole and the very difficult uphill par 4 18th. So there is some difficult golf still to go. However, they are going to have to come out swinging and be aggressive.
And just as you had said that, I was thinking that I cannot certainly call this just yet as Paige being completely out of it, but she would have to make up some strokes on some of these very difficult holes that remain, and Val would have to play very conservative in order for Paige to have a chance to get back into this. And Kat was ready to run that down. She thought she maybe was going to put it in from nearly 60 feet. I'm expecting Val to pitch this right underneath the basket.
Well, Val's actually a lot closer than I thought. She's close enough to give this a run. She can make it a conservative run, but it's possible she could get a 2 on this hole.
And Val does in fact give it a run, but just leaves herself 5 feet away. And if you, as we are moving up the fairway, we see Paige Pierce's 2 OB shots. And the 2 of them are nearly stacked on top of one another. She is pin high and looking at no more than 10 or so feet from the inbounds line. And they are nearly stacked on top of one another. And Val will be in for the 3. Paige gives her a little fist bump. Good sportsmanship, of course. And Paige was even a little bit nervous on that one, as she was high and right. That almost found a way out of the basket from less than 5 feet. And Paige is going to need to regain her composure here so that she can give this a strong finish. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. You're watching the 2016 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships presented by Dynamic Discs.
Hole 14 is long and proud. At 766 feet, one of the longest on the course. Players may opt to play down the right-hand side for a shorter path to the basket, but they risk trees and OB fence line there. Most players will travel down the center of the ball golf fairway, battling the headwind as they go. The end of the fairway pushes to the right corner, boxed in by an OB ball golf green and previously mentioned fence line. While the green is relatively straightforward, these last 250 feet can be trouble for even the best players.
And Val going with the hyzer on the right side gap. There's 3 or 4 different gaps to choose from. She takes the right hyzer line. And Sarah rips her forehand with her Icon Outlaw, showing why she has the best women's forehand in the game. Cat opting for the same line that we saw by Val Jenkins, as we feel a light tailwind pickup, a little left to right over the shoulder. And Paige showing why she is your 2016 Women's Distance Champion here at the World Championships. So Dixon, quite the shakeup that we see now that we can take a look at the leaderboard and do some serious addition and subtraction. We look at Valarie Jenkins is sitting at 10 under par. Catrina Allen and Paige Pierce now 4 strokes back, both at 6 under par. They both have quite a ways to go if they're going to get back into this.
Yeah, I foresee Val throwing a whole lot of T-birds and rocks for the rest of the way. Middle of the fairway should be her game. She's got 4-stroke lead with 4 holes to play. Now, on the other hand, Catrina and Paige are going to have to start ripping. Katrina's drive there was okay if this was just a normal hole, but she needs to start taking strokes. Paige, on the other hand, ripped that shot. And she is down to a spot now where she has the distance to be able to go. Now, it's going to be a dangerous shot, but she is within range to try to go at this basket here and try to get the birdie 3 on this hole. There's really no way that Val, where she's sitting, can get that 3. So Paige might be looking at trying to take a stroke a hole. That's how she needs to think about it. And it's got to start right here. Kat, at this point, pretty much the best she can do is a 4. So she's going to have to come up with another way to get some of these strokes.
And as you said, Kat's going to have to put the move on that disc. She's done just that. Looks like she's going to be short, but within putting distance?
No, she's probably a little over 100 out, and she's going to have a giant oak tree in the way. From that spot, it's only layup time. Val, on the other hand, should try to throw that exact same shot. She needs to tell Paige with every throw that she has, you're going to have to come get me. And you're going to have to be aggressive. So Valarie should be throwing. Yeah, it's that same disc she threw for the drive. Throw that exact same shot, hyzer around this first tree, get to the fat part of the fairway, and then get up and down for your 4.
And as if she's listening to you, Dixon, she's doing just that. She did get caught up by the bush down there. However, she should be able to navigate around it and get up and down for a 4. Now, as we look forward to the next hole, I don't foresee any of the women finding any trouble. It is considered, there is OB on both left and right of the fairway. However, I don't see too much trouble coming in on the next hole. In fact, I envision possibly 4 3s if they all execute on the next hole. That just leaves 2 holes after that, and something's going to have to get shaken up on 16. What is course hole 16 or course hole 18?
Yeah, the only real danger that I can see on the next hole would be that there is a headwind. If there was a tailwind, I could see Paige having the distance to go for it. But you have to swing something out really far to the right if you want to get to this hole. And you need that right to left tailwind in order to do so. That's not there. It's actually a left to right or a right to left crosswind. So they're going to just have to play to the middle. Now, trying to play conservative on that hole can get you in trouble sometimes, because there are some skips out of that island. But first things first, Paige now probably 350 feet. She is under the overhang of this tree. None of these branches are going to get in her way, providing just a little bit of shade for her, but she's going to have to absolutely rip this, and she's going to have to swing it out over the out of bounds line and hyzer back in around this giant, probably 40 foot tall, 50 or 60 foot wide oak tree.
And Paige was double checking her footing, as it looks like she may have slipped somewhat during that throw. She gets caught up by the oak tree, and she's going to be short.
Well, it looked like she was going to the backside, hit something solid, and kicked back to the right. So it's not the best putt, but she should have a look at the basket from maybe about 45 or 50, and she's going to have to give that the run. Val, after skipping off of that tree, I believe actually Catrina will go first. Val's going to have a little over 100-foot flick, maybe 130-foot flick, to get up and down for her 4.
A huge gallery has joined us out here at the Emporia Country Club. We'd like to thank them as our host here for the week, as we've been playing the Disc Golf World Championships at this beautiful piece of property. We'd also like to thank ValueNet Fiber, who have supported us and our broadcast throughout this week, providing high-speed internet in a multitude of places.
So Valarie does not have the flick from here. She's going to have to go on the OB side of this tree. And there is one branch that's sticking out talking to her right at about 10 or 15 feet high.
And Val taking a little longer than normal here, making sure she's eyeing up that shot. She was flirting with the OB on the right-hand side, as Dixon had just mentioned, with the fence line, and knowing that she wanted to go around the tree but yet not carry too far forward to that fence, she's going to leave herself with a very makeable putt from there.
Yeah, probably about 20 feet. You could tell that she was really squeezing that one, though. Took her a lot longer than she normally does. And when she turned around, she let out a big sigh of relief to Nate and Avery. But she just needs to keep in her mind, okay, even on that shot, okay, if I take a 5 here, I've still got a 3-stroke lead. She just needs to avoid big numbers, avoid circles, just keep progressing down the fairway. Even if she misses this putt, she's still fine. Progress, advance. Don't get circles. Don't give any of these ladies any encouragement to get back into this fight, is what Val's philosophy needs to be right now.
And Paul Uliberry helping out, giving a towel to Catrina. She's going to take a knee for a stretched out putt, or a stretched out forehand. And a relatively effortless forehand from one knee. I think we're going to see a similar shot here by Sarah Hokom. And Sarah Hokom also with a forehand off in the distance. We can hear that the Masters are teeing off in just a few moments right now. I heard Johnny McRae's name mentioned. Johnny McRae battling with Shasta Chris right now as they are tied for the lead. We have Chris Sprague and Chris Smith sitting in third and fourth places. And Paige's jump putt is, in fact, short. She's going to be within 5 feet of the pin. This could be a huge putt for Valarie Jenkins to maintain all of the lead that she's acquired in the last few holes. Val Jenkins is in for the 4, and as the ladies will be cleaning up here on this hole, I'd like to invite you guys to all join us again at 3 p.m. for the men's finals. The men's finals will be taking place again at 3 p.m. out here at the Country Club, of course. And we've got a great battle as Ricky Wysocki sits in front of Paul Macbeth by 5 strokes. Paul charging very hard in the final few holes, including a birdie on hole 18 where he was putting for eagle. Catrina's going to tap in, and just a few holes to play. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. You're watching the 2016 Women's Finals at the Disc Golf World Championships. Val Jenkins will be first to tee. She said she feels like a bug just flew in her mouth a moment ago, so she took a quick drink and she's ready to go here on 15. And if that just hooks up as it's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is a great shot by Valarie Jenkins, exactly where she wants to be. It's going to be a layup game from there.
Yeah, that's going right towards the OB, Heisering out at the end. That's her game plan. You can't spell championship party without a par.
And a great shot there by Sarah Hokom. And Catrina also taking the OB out of play by going with a hyzer. And that does put her behind the tree. She's going to, again, just be looking at a layup from there. And if Paige is going to have any chance at gaining a stroke here, she's going to need a long drive. She's done just that, but she's fighting a headwind for the duration of that flight. And trying to throw 426 into a headwind, even for Paige Pierce, can be challenging. I believe she threw 440 or 460 to win the women's distance competition earlier in the week, so we know she has the power. However, the headwind did not aid in that throw whatsoever.
Well, and she had to throw it so high. She couldn't have put a better move on that disc. I mean, she got it to bend slightly around that tree, up high with hyzer, and let the wind try to bring it back over. But with that headwind, it's just not possible. I figured she was going to go with the flat, straight shot right at it, because that's really about the only way to get to it in this wind. I think even a lot of our open players wouldn't try to that hyzer. If they had to have a two here, they would go right at it. But I mean, this is what Valarie is doing. She's putting them in the position where they have to try shots that may not be the best idea if they want to try to catch her.
Last night, I caught up with Paige Pierce during our nightly recap. She graciously joined us for our SmashBoxxTV podcast, and I said, in a perfect world, how many strokes would you like to have being up on the final hole of the World Championships? And she said 3. She feels like at best someone is going to card would be a 3, and at worst she would card a 6. So she said, I think I would like at least 3 right now. If somebody doesn't make a move here on Val Jenkins the next 2 holes, Val may have 3 or 4 strokes going into that final hole.
And when Paige was stepping up to that short putt on hole number 12 after she had missed the short one on hole 11, I looked at Eric and he said, I've never seen her this nervous before. She seems to have, the nerves seem to be gone now. Now she's more just kind of frustrated and almost indifferent, realizing that that second shot OB on hole 14 or hole 13, it gave it away. There's really nothing she could do at that point.
And a moderate run there by Val Jenkins. I'm not sure she was fully trying to put that in. I know she wanted to get it close, but it almost lifted up and carried right into the basket. Now Paige is going to be looking at least at 60 feet, maybe a little bit more than that. Again, still a headwind coming at her. This could change the momentum if she could somehow convert here. And albeit a good bit, it is left and just a bit low. Dixon, just 2 holes left to play. Once our Open Division women here tap out here on hole number 15, just 2 to play. We know we're going to see a layup by Val Jenkins. That's the only logical move, of course, for her to lay up and hopefully get up and down from there, taking her 3 on the next hole. That means if anybody's going to want a chance at going after her in the final hole or 2, they're going to have to go at that green on the next hole because we know Val Jenkins is going to lay up and at worst case take a 4.
Well, remember that the ladies are playing the silver tee on hole 16, not the gold tee. Well, excuse me. During their round, they played the silver tee, so I assume that's what they're doing out here for the final 9. So that's a much shorter hole, and it basically at an angle and a distance where the only thing you can do is go for it. I mean, if you lay up, you're laying up like 100 feet. So it puts it in the spot where everybody's going to go for it.
And thank you for the clarification. I was thinking of the gold tee. Hokom taps in, and we're moving on. We've just got 2 holes to play before our world champion is crowned here in Emporia, Kansas. We'll be back in a few moments.
Hi, I'm Des Redding, and you're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV. Check it out.
So every month, as you guys know, that we like to recognize an outstanding employee. So for the month of May, Employee of the Month is Dixon Jowers. Good job. All right, so for this month, like we usually do, we like to recognize somebody for outstanding service. So Employee of the Month for the month of June is Dixon Jowers. Congratulations, Dixon. Good job. Good job. All right, everybody, we've come to the time of the meeting where we're going to give away our Employee of the Month award. So let's take a look. And for the 3rd time in a row, it's Dixon Jowers. Congratulations, Dixon.
Bagger.
Well, so next on the agenda, we're going to talk about sales for next month. We have some new products coming out, and it's exciting news for everyone.
Val's is carrying towards the basket. And I've got to say, an all but look of disgust by Catrina Allen. She knows that's the end of it. Paige Pierce has a huge smile on her face and gave Val Jenkins a high five. Val Jenkins knows this. Paige Pierce now realizes this is Val Jenkins' World Championship. We have to clarify, Dixon, when you and I were walking towards this, that's when I did remember and realize we were playing from the silver tee. This is not the tee where the men were throwing from throughout the week and where we'll see later. This is 270 and the shorter tee. And Catrina's dialing it in, going over the basket.
Going for the ace.
And Catrina is OB.
Run, Pat.
And Paige has a great shot that's coming in a little bit heavy. However, we're going to have the spotter run it down, and it is just past the basket and found herself in the water. OB. Ladies and gentlemen, this is in fact Valarie Jenkins' World Championships. We have just seen 2 OB strokes by the 2 nearest competitors. Val Jenkins is on the green with just 18 feet between her and a birdie. And what an approach by Catrina Allen from the drop zone. And Kat is also within a few feet. Both Paige and Catrina on the green. However, their OB strokes. We're going to go ahead and get into reposition, seeing that we can get all of the action needed right here from the drop zone area. Joining me now is 2010 world champion Eric McCabe. And Eric, the very first person to congratulate and say anything to Val off of that tee shot here on this 8th hole of the finals was your good friend Paige Pierce. She had a genuine look of excitement and smile as she knew that this is Val's World Championships.
Absolutely. It just shows what kind of competitor and what kind of true champion that Paige actually is. Giving it up for her friend, knowing when it's kind of, time not necessarily to throw in the towel, but when you've been beat. And Val has played some amazing golf this week, and it's awesome to see her get her 4th.
What do you think when you saw, what was the tone or the demeanor? Obviously, Paige being one of your best friends, but what was going on in her head on 13 when she had thrown back-to-back OB shots?
The first shot, I told her get it a little bit high, and it just kind of came out a little too flat, and the wind just kind of dropped it. And then I told her just get in bounds on this next one, and it just came out a little late, And at that point, she knew, I think, at that point that it was over. But what I'm proud of is she kept her head high and she didn't give up, and she ran that. I mean, it was spectacular to watch. So I'm proud of her either way.
Well, she's had a lot of pressure on her since last year's World Championships. She will not be getting her 4th, but Val Jenkins is a mere 3 or 4 throws away from herself capturing her 4th world title. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors right here at the 2016 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships.
Hole 18 leaves no rest for the weary on this course. Carrying the first shot over water and into the headwind, players must make a second shot uphill almost 50 feet while dodging an OB ball golf green and plenty of foliage along the way. The basket sits nestled on the side of the hill, sloping down and away from the OB green to the left. The green is well guarded by a number of trees, and shots that go too far past the basket can fall into some very dense trees. This hole has the potential to ruin any scorecard of a weary player at the end of their round.
I'm Paige Pierce. You're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
And we are getting into our final position here as we are on our 9th and final hole here at the Disc Golf World Championships. We are also at the silver tee. And Val will be first to throw after carding the birdie 2 on the island hole.
Yeah, this is the Val Jenkins Victory Tour right here. I believe she has 6 strokes on both Catrina and Paige. It's a difficult uphill, 587-foot par 4, but nobody's getting a 2 on this. So assuming Catrina and Paige at best could get a 3, that means Valarie could get a 6 and still walk home with a victory. So she's going to put it in the middle, put it in the middle, put it in the middle, put it under the basket, tap in for her 4th World Championships.
And Val with a solid shot up the middle. That is her star turn. Just 1 throw down, maybe 2 or 3 to go for Val Jenkins. And again, Sarah Hokom showing that she's got the best sidearm out there. Great shot by Sarah Hokom. Great shot there by Catrina Allen, outdriving the rest of the group. And right now it just comes down to second place. We've got Catrina Allen and Paige Pierce crushing a drive up the fairway. Dixon, maybe there'll be some time tomorrow, once everything is calmed down, there'll be some time tomorrow where I could come out and get a driving lesson from Paige Pierce. She crushed that.
Yeah, that was every bit of 400 uphill. Where she landed is probably 20 or 25 feet above where she threw from. I mean, I think this is the same idea on this drive as she had on the last hole. Well, Valarie's going to win, but I'm going to try to get on SportsCenter. She tried to ace the island hole, and she just tried to set a distance record here on this hole. It's interesting to see the reactions of the group. Sarah has been a really calm demeanor the whole time. She's kind of out of it. I'm sure she'd rather maybe just be sitting inside and having a cold drink, eating some lunch. But Catrina just has a look of frustration, anger, disgust over the whole thing. Whereas Paige seems to be, now granted, you know, this is just walking around the course, she seems to be genuinely happy for what's going on right now. So it's an interesting juxtaposition between the two of them.
You can go ahead and say dynamic. They're a great sponsor of the event.
Well, okay, then I'll say it. What a great dynamic between the two of them. Their discs are dynamic.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. Slow down. And Hokom with another sidearm.
Nice shot, Sarah.
Jenkins walking into this 9th and final hole here with a 6-stroke advantage. All she needs to do is get it anywhere into the fairway, possibly lay up once or twice even if she wants. There's no one that is going to catch her here at this point. Val Jenkins is just a few minutes away from her 4th World Championship title.
Yeah, and the show is just growing. The gallery's getting bigger because we're coming back up here towards the top. But even some of the players, I mean, Paul McBeth is standing right behind us. He just came to watch this final hole. even though he's teeing off here in about an hour, he's going to have to put forward a fantastic final 9 like Valarie did to try to catch Ricky, who's got 5 strokes on him. So just fantastic afternoon of golf out here. I'm really excited about watching.
As we were closing out the semifinals round, I caught up with Paul Macbeth, and he said at the very last moment, "Go Val." So he's cheering for his teammate. And Catrina Allen has thrown short. Paige Pierce, with a solid up and down, could possibly walk away with a sole possession of second place. But first, Val Jenkins is looking to put this anywhere forward. And with a standstill hyzer, Val has approached toward the pin. She's going to have a short layup from there.
And this is such an incredible swing. Hour and a half ago, we thought this was the Cat and Paige fight. But now it's just Valarie walking it in. So there's Paige's PA2. She is above the basket, probably about 40 feet. She'll have a run at the 3, although that's kind of a death putt. She will be putting downhill, and that downslope goes straight from the basket right towards OB. I don't know if Terry and I can talk about it enough. This really is such a shocking turn of events. It's not that Val couldn't win. It's that she's winning by 6 strokes when she came into the final 9 with a deficit. It's such an incredible swing.
And to be fair, as we saw them approach the 8th hole, they knew that they had to go for it. And once Val put herself on the green, it was all but over. And that is a World Championship layup by Valarie Jenkins. And Paige ran it. She was not going to settle for second place, or a tie for that matter. She wanted it outright. And Paige is indicated for Sarah Hokom, your 2012 Women's World Champion, tapping in. And Paige, our 3-time Women's World Champion, is in. She comes up short here this year. However, a solid performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2016 PDGA Women's Professional Disc Golf World Champion for the 4th time, Valarie Jenkins.
And Val's going to take the hugs from the rest of her competitors. And Warren and her brother will step in. Valarie Jenkins with the congratulations from her family, her dad, the caddy, and the one everybody's been waiting for. Are you ready to talk to T?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you want the flowers?
Some flowers? He's impressed.
Camera shot.
Val, your husband said it best. You beat him to it. 4-time world champion. How does that sound?
It's kind of crazy. It's surreal. If you watch the final 9, my head was down. I was in tunnel vision. And that's how I was when I won my first 3. So I just had to keep my head down. I just had to keep focused. And yeah, it feels amazing.
Talk about the support you have. You have friends, family, you have your husband. Your dad was on the bag caddying for you.
And Mom watching.
And your mom watching. Hello,
Screaming,
Sharon.
Probably crying.
Talk about the support you receive out here.
It's amazing. To have Nate carrying the umbrella, not letting me get any sun, except for right now, but my dad on the bag all day, Avery there, Ari and Leah, and of course my mom and everybody at home. It's amazing.
Now, the battle that you guys had, was there at any point where you truly felt comfortable with your lead?
Right here when I dropped that one in. I don't take anything for granted, and yeah, now it's over.
You've played for so many years. You have 3 world titles. Now this is your 4th. Next year, you'll be back?
Yeah. Where's it at? IDGC? I'll be there.
IDGC. Anything you'd like to say to everyone out there?
Thank you guys for your support. It's amazing. I have nothing else to say. It's just, it's all soaking in right now. Thank you.
All right, she's going to enjoy a Bevel beer. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your 2016 Women's Disc Golf World Champion, Val Jenkins. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And there you have it. There's going to be some congratulatory hugs. I'm sure there's going to be some autograph signings. Val Jenkins, one of the most decorated women in all of disc golf, taking down the title here in a dramatic finish, fighting hard during the semis, coming out in the finals 1 stroke down, and forging forward past 2 other world champions in Catrina Allen as well as Paige Pierce. It's been an amazing week out here. We enjoyed watching all of the action taking place with the women. Congratulations to all of them for their participation, and of course to Val Jenkins. We're going to cut loose now. We're going to be back in about an hour or so to bring you the men's final. As they conclude, we got Ricky Wysocki out in the lead with Paul McBeth trying to chase him down. Paul going after his 4th and Ricky is 1st. So for everyone on our crew, as we always like to thank Joe Height on the camera, Johnny V back at the controls, Gary to the O, Justin working an additional camera, and the sponsors, friends and family, and the thousands of people that have tuned in to watch, along with Dixon Jowers, who is here helping us out throughout the week. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and Val Jenkins is your world champion.